And so, another Disventure Camp Season 5 episode came and went. And I'm not gonna lie, this one was fairly underwhelming. And right now, I'm questioning whether or not there is any point in continuing with this season. But I guess for now, the reviews must go on. So let's talk about the 4th episode of Disventure Camp, Fans vs. Favorites, Going Coconuts. So in this episode, Natalia starts forming a genuine friendship with Tom, which is interesting, given that in her pre-season interview, she talked about how playing with her emotions screwed her in carnival chaos. Although if she betrays Tom, we'd just be seeing a repeat of her story in that season, which doesn't sound appealing to me. Also, Lake and Anastasia continue to bond when they connect over being disowned by their respective parents because of their sexualities. This shared experience between them feels authentic, and I admire how Anastasia reassures Lake that she's better off without her parents, even if a part of her misses them. Meanwhile, on the fans team, Aiden tries to find out if Evie has the advantage, while Manu attempts to bond with his new alliance, but there is not much success in either of these interactions. As for the challenge, it's the return of the one where the contestants gather coconuts to throw into nets held up by 3 members of a team, except this time they have to use corn. I love the acknowledgement of how out of place the coconuts were in the location of the previous place where this challenge was last used. Benji once again sits out of the challenge, which is a part of a growing concern many fans, including myself, are having for his character this season. So far, he hasn't really done much of anything, which is a shame, because I believed he really had potential to do well this time around, but instead he continues to be a goofball who most people on the team don't like, which was how he started out as in Carnival of Chaos. So this feels like a total regression of his character. If he ends up being the first favorite to get eliminated, it'll be incredibly disappointing. Alec also confronts Anastasia over her hating him for seemingly no reason, and she explains that it is because he had cut ties with his son. Alec tries to defend this action, claiming that it was for his son's best interest, since he was a horrible father towards him, only for Anastasia to point out how this would be traumatic to the kid, speaking from her own experience of being disowned by her parents. This interaction forces Alec to reconsider the consequences of the actions he took to supposedly improve his own life, which makes me wonder if he's going to have a redemption arc of sorts. There is also this one odd moment from Rosa, when Anastasia tells her about the conversation she and Lake had about missing their girlfriends. She assumes that she had broken up with Marissa. Okay? That is a completely random conclusion to make. Some fans had speculated that Lake and her girlfriend Mariana are no longer together, which could be a possible explanation, but I guess we'll have to wait and see if that is actually the case. Anyway, the favorites win the challenge, and Aiden turns on Manu over a falling out they had during the challenge. Although luckily for Manu, his old alliance is more than happy to take him back, even though he flipped on them. However, Aiden picks up on Aluya's anxiety over being on the right side of the vote, and exploits it with manipulative language in order to get her to flip, which results in Manu's elimination. He was actually on the bottom of my power rankings from the previous episode, so my gut was right about him. To me, Aluya's decision to flip on her alliance makes sense, given that in the last episode, Ernesto sternly told her that she was just a number they needed in order to have the majority, which made her feel as though she wasn't truly included or valued. Also, I'm sensing a potential duo between her and Ara. Maybe they'll have a similar dynamic to Lindsay and Heber from Total Drama Island, with Ara taking advantage of Aluya's desperation for a friend in order to noose her. Now, to address the elephant in the room, the only contestants who have been eliminated in this season so far have been the fans. This is surprising, since I assumed most of the early pre-merge boots would be the favorites, who have already gotten plenty of screen time in previous seasons, in order for the fans to have enough time to make some sort of memorable impression. But instead, they seem to be dropping like flies during the challenge, page, Spencer made a comment about most of the fans being irrelevant, which could be interpreted as Odd Nation cartoons, indirectly admitting that they are just here to be cannon fodder, in order to prop up the favorites, which would be such a letdown if that ends up being the case. Overall, this was another episode I wasn't too fond of. The premiere of this season was decent, and the second episode was a banger, but now there have been 2 episodes in a row that I personally did not enjoy. Hopefully this season can improve in the following episodes. Alright, it is time to once again go over the power rankings of this cast, based off the events of this episode. At the very bottom in number 21 is Benji. Please don't let him be a flop. At number 20 is Aiden. Although he has a character arc at this moment, dude can't help digging a deeper and deeper grave for himself. At number 19 is Tom. I mean, he at least has a developing friendship with Natalia, but I still don't know what his purpose will be in this season. At number 18 is Gabby. She's in the same boat as Tom. At number 17 is Evie. She'll probably never get voted out at this rate. At number 16 is Aluya. There we go! She has finally voted correctly. At number 15 is Ali. Come on! Do something! At number 14 is Ara. I feel as though we still don't know much about her. At number 13 is Natalia. She's obviously the one who will last the longest out of the new trio. At number 12 is Nura. She didn't do much this episode, but she still has that ongoing story with Dunya. At number 11 is Finn. A minor antagonist, but still a fairly enjoyable one. At number 10 is Fiore. Although she is getting targeted by Rosa, I doubt getting her eliminated will be that easy. At number 9 is Dunya. I believe there's still some upcoming development for her relationship with Nura. At number 8 is Anastasia. She's been getting plenty of focus and development, although it's possible that she might have already fulfilled her purpose for this season. At number 7 is Alec. I sense a potential redemption arc. At number 6 is Ren. He's still a big character and player, although it seems that Sam is aware of her immunity totem. At number 5 is Rosa. Her story seems to be taking a backseat for now. At number 4 is Lake. I'm glad she's slowly becoming a major character for this season. At number 3 is Bruno. While this wasn't a huge episode for him, his status as the main character remains unchanged. At number 2 is Spencer. I sense a Spencer/Sam rivalry brewing. And at number 1 is Sam. Dude has been running circles around his fellow contestants in the simplest way possible. And that'll be it for this video. Be sure to give this video a like, share, and comment, and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for notifications. Anyway, see ya!